Monza. I think that's near Milan. Can you imagine just being born in Milan, growing up in Milan? I grew up in Detroit. I was born and raised in South Detroit, literally, not Milan. That's a whole different world. That's a different universe. Man, can't imagine that. I tell you. I was at the Austin, Texas airport this weekend, standing in line behind a couple of young guys. They all were decked out in Porsche Motorsport gear. So maybe there was like a world endurance race or something in Texas, Dakota. Not sure. But I was like, that's not a life I want to lead. That sounds like a tough life, but a fun, interesting life. So hope they're doing well, those young men. All right, son, you ready to go?
I am ready to go.
Welcome to Hard Compound, the American take on Formula One with your hosts, Brian and Patrick. Just finished watching the Italian Grand Prix, famous Monza. My quick take. Of course, McLaren favors Lando. We've discussed this. In every way possible, they are going to try to give Lando Norris the championship. But the other bigger story, I think, Patrick, maybe because we were in Italy, humiliation rituals. That seemed to be the theme of the Italian Grand Prix, humiliation rituals. McLaren humiliates both drivers with their swapping nonsense. Total Wolff publicly humiliating both his drivers, talking about how much better Max is than everybody. Ferrari, I don't know. I don't know if they're deliberately trying to humiliate Lewis or not, but that seems to be the theme of the Italian Grand Prix. Patrick, son, what are you feeling about the Italian Grand Prix?
Well, I can tell you, I'm sure all those parents, the Milanese parents, are telling their kids when their kids are not eating their vegetables, well, think about those Americans, okay? Well, their diet, oh boy, you don't want to be like them. You better eat your vegetables.
That ultra-processed food.
That's the Italians.
That Chef Boyardee nonsense.
And they have no problem with shaming others. Ferrari, whether they intend to shame Lewis or not, they're bringing shame on all of their fans. Yeah, this was an interesting race weekend. Alpine is bringing shame on Pierre Gasly for simply fucking re-signing with them. And Max is shaming everybody by being as good as he is. I mean, yes. The whole week was just about shame. No, I mean it was good. It was very interesting. Ferrari, you can never tell too much from practices, and everybody's doing different things. But I got to tell you, all these Ferrari fans were like, on Friday, they're going, we're going to fucking win Monza. We are kicking everybody's ass. This is incredible. And then Saturday rolls around, qualifying, and they're like, oh, this is not good. This is bad. And Lewis has a 5-place grid penalty. I mean,
that's right.
This is not going to go well. And it went about as well as I think Ferrari could have hoped, given that they were simply not better than the McLarens, not better than Max. I mean, nobody's better than Max. And really, like, if anybody else except for Kimi Antonelli is in that other Mercedes, Ferrari's battling both Mercedes instead of just Lewis sitting on George's tail. But I like Monza. Monza's fun. It's a good race. I thought it was a good weekend. It gave us a lot to talk about and brought a lot of shame, which I think we need more of in the world.
We probably do. Yes, that's how we keep things in line. And I mean, you talked about Ferrari on Friday. I have no problems with the hometown team kind of, doctoring the car a little bit. Maybe there's a little bit less fuel in there than they need. It's like, look, we know you're our fans. You came out here. We're going to give you the fast lap. We're going to look best in the practice rounds. I mean, when the rubber hits the road, literally, that Ferrari was not going to beat McLaren and not going to beat Max, but I don't mind. But man, I mean, people are still talking about McLaren having Oscar swap positions. And I was just thinking two things. In a million universes, Max Verstappen would never do that. Ever. Can you imagine anybody getting on the radio? Hey, Max, your teammate's pit stop was a little slow. We want you to let him go ahead. I mean, it just boggles the mind to even sort of consider that.
It is unfathomable.
It is.
And completely unreasonable for either driver to comply. And also, like you're saying, completely unreasonable for the team to even ask.
Right.
It's not acceptable. What is happening to the sport?
I know. Look at the champions in the 21st century. You got Max, you got Lewis, Alonso, Seb, Kimi, Michael,
Schumacher.
I mean, Nico. None of them. Can you just imagine? It's hard to believe. I mean, McLaren humiliated both their drivers by pulling this stunt, and it's just because they want Lando to win. So anyway, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about that. Why don't you give me your top 5 real quick for the Italian Grand Prix?
All right, top 5. Number 1, easy, Max. Number 2, Max. Number 3, Max. I mean, yeah, it's pretty much every week. I think he had one ridiculous week so far this season. And other than that, he's been on top of everything. It's pretty ridiculous how well he's doing. And this was another example of that. Then I think a lot of drivers had some pretty good performances, but I don't think anything stood out too much. I would say probably my next driver would actually be Alex Albon. I thought he had a pretty darn good race in that Williams, had some really good overtakes, just was kind of on top of it. Not a great qualifying. I think qualified behind Sainz, but he has, I think, really proven to everybody that he's a top quality driver. I mean, everyone was thinking, oh man, Carlos Sainz, pretty like right around the prime of his career, coming into that team. He's been doing really well for Ferrari. He's going to be the number 1 driver. And at no point this season has it looked like he's been anywhere close to Albon. So that, I think, says more about Albon than it does about Carlos Sainz.
Probably. Although, and you look at some of the separations from veteran drivers who joined teams this year, like Sainz, Yuki, Lewis, of course. I mean, he's not the Lewis of the old Mercedes days, but the gap between him and the number 1 in the team, Charles, is not nearly as gaping as the gap between.
It's quite close comparatively.
Right. Max, I mean, look at Max, Yuki, look at Alex and Carlos. So yeah, Albon's having a good year. I mean, hey, hats off. Christian Horner, I mean, going into Red Bull kind of nearly destroyed Albon's career before it got started. And he kept him in the sport. Finally got him a seat. He's doing well.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely has deserved that seat. He's looked good in it. So hopefully he keeps it up. Then I would say I'm going to go with Bortoleto. I think just another really impressive performance. I thought he was really good in qualifying. He's now out-qualified Hülkenberg most of the season.
Yeah.
and you know, Hulk got that podium. And since then, it's kind of been, the wheels have come off a little bit. But Bortoleto's really come into his own, and the car is seemingly pretty competitive, at least within that mid-pack. And he seems to be doing quite well now. I love his battles with Alonso. That's a fun little
that is
a little battle there.
It's great to see the generational battle there in the mid-pack. And I was happy for Hulk to get his podium finally. He looked good the first half of the season. Him and the car haven't looked the best since. And yeah, Bortoleto's been doing well and definitely out qualifying him, I know, at least the last couple months.
Yeah, so I mean, as far as rookies go, he's definitely looked among the top over the last several races. Let's see, that's 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go with Leclerc maybe for the next one. I think it's hard for these Ferrari drivers, especially coming into Monza. They know they really got to prove their worth. And of old, I think Leclerc kind of really shied away from the spotlight, and he did not perform, I think, particularly well under pressure. And I think in this race, he kind of stuck with it. I think he did really well, had good qualifying. They knew they just did not have the pace of the McLarens and of Max. I mean, I think that Red Bull is actually quite good, quite fast, if you can make it, sort of. I don't know. It seems like a weird thing that only Max has kind of figured it out. But I think Leclerc was sort of best of the rest and really was pretty close to those McLarens for the majority of the race. And so I think he deserves a spot up there. And then I'm going to go with Hadjar, another rookie. You know, a lot of tough stuff went on in this race, and he ended up popping up into the points once again. You know, second best of the Red Bull team's drivers of the four. And he's been there pretty consistently. I think this is another race like that. So I think probably those are, I don't know. There's some good rookies this season and some that just have not shown up at all. But Bortoleto and Hadjar, I think, are being pretty consistent here recently. So that's good to see.
Yep. All right. So you got Max, Alex, Bortoleto, Charles Leclerc, Isaac Hadjar for your top 5 for the Italian Grand Prix. Quick look at the driver standings now. What are we, 16 races in? 8 more weekends. Oscar at 324. His teammate Lando Norris at 293. So that's 24 plus 7. That's 31. So over 8 weekends, less than 4. About 3.5 he needs to make every weekend. He did that last week for the Italian Grand Prix. We were saying he needs to make just under 4 a race weekend, and he did. I mean, we can complain about McLaren's swapping nonsense, but, you know, he made it up. So Max, distant third, 230. Oof. George Russell, 194 in fourth place for Mercedes. His teammate Kimi Antonelli, less than half of that, 66. That's almost a third, in fact. In fifth place, rounding out fifth, is Charles Leclerc at 163. His teammate Lewis Hamilton, 117. You mentioned Alex Albon, 70 points, sixth place in Williams. That's pretty damn good.
That is quite good. I mean, I don't know that anybody expected Williams to do quite as well as they have done this season. But, I mean, yeah, he's ahead of Kimi there. So, yeah, that's sixth place. So you're ahead of a Mercedes driver and a Red Bull driver. I don't think anybody would have disputed the top 8, you know. It would be 2 Red Bulls, 2 McLarens, 2 Ferraris, and 2 Mercedes would be in the top 8, right?
Joining a team isn't the easiest thing in the world, but his teammate Carlos Sainz, veteran F1 driver, 16 points. Albon is 70.
Oh boy. Yeah, that's
Carlson's 18th place.
Good.
Yeah.
That's no good. 18th place out of, was there 21 drivers?
I think 21, right? Because of doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ouch.
So Oscar at 324, Max at 230. That's 70. That's 94 over 8 race weekends. Can we do the math here? 8 into 94, that's 8, that's 1, that's 4, that's about 12 points. About 12 points a race week. Can Max do this?
That is tough. As long as McLaren keeps swapping their drivers around, I think he might be able to do it, you know? I think he might just be like, you know, because he's only, 63 points there back of Lando. So that's 8 points a weekend, right? So, you know, he does that. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty close. It's pretty close.
I mean, this was a Max masterclass, this race.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to happen, but he could, if they raced at Monza every weekend, you know, I think he does. Yeah. But unfortunately, the McLaren is much less powerful on this type of track than basically anywhere else. It's still the best, which is why they were second and third. But it's not quite as much the best.
Optimized for McLaren. But I mean, this weekend was a masterclass for Max, but it's basically like Michael Jordan Game 6, but 8 Game 6s in a row, you know, with the flu still there. I don't think it's happening. Those teammate, Yuki, I mean, you saw for Doohan and Colapinto, that's Yuki then. Doohan and Colapinto, you wind up with Yuki. Yuki is basically last. This is, I believe, the worst Red Bull result in history. I think I don't know, early on they had, some guys who just did a handful of races. But I think for like essentially a season, this is the worst ever for Red Bull.
Yeah, it's no good. He doesn't look good. He doesn't look comfortable. Still hasn't figured it out. I mean, Lawson obviously didn't look particularly good in the handful of races that he got at Red Bull. You wonder if they gave him this many races, would he be in the same position? Who's to say? Because, obviously that car can go fast. Max is
right,
but it's also very clearly a handful and not set up in a way that is comfortable for a lot of people or a lot of drivers, and certainly not set up in a way that many drivers can, maximize its capability. Max is seemingly the only one. There have been, I guess that's 3 drivers in that seat in the last year and a half. And basically all of them have failed to produce really any results.
Well, true, but I mean, do we owe Checo an apology? He did poorly, but I mean, it wasn't Red Bull historic poorly, which I think had Liam stayed in there, he would have, and his F1 career would be over. Yuki has, and his F1 career might be over.
I don't know. I'd be interested to see the second half of the season results for Checo last year, because I think the first half of the season, Red Bull was fucking dominant, right?
Yeah.
They were, like Max won 7 of 9 races or something like that, and Checo won the other 2, right? So their car was working. It was like halfway through where something happened, whether it was, quote unquote upgrades or whatever, that just did not work well for Perez. And sure, we can say, yeah, I mean, this car is hard to handle, and it doesn't look like all too many other people can do it either. It doesn't excuse the fact that he was still shit. I don't know. I just because
Funny.
2 other people that nobody really expected to do well anyways didn't do well. I don't know that means that Checo is totally absolved of any fault, I guess.
You mentioned earlier Gasly with his deal with Alpine. I mean, who deserves a better car? Is it Gasly? Alonso? Alonso, anytime that Aston looks like it might be good, it dies on Alonso. Without fail. Hey, this car looks like it's not going to be terrible this week. Boom, it dies on him. I don't know, Albon. I mean, he's with Williams. Albon is looking like a top-tier driver now. Maybe he does. I don't know. I mean, clearly Alonso's made a deal with the devil. It's hey, we're going to make you one of the greatest F1 racers of all time. Your career will be longer than anybody's, but you'll also be saddled with the worst cars in the history of the sport regularly.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough. I think Alonso has, for most of his career, deserved a better car, something that he could use to compete at the very top with. I mean, he's great and he's fun to watch. I think at this point in time, while it would be great to see him in a competitive car, as he was a few seasons ago when that Aston was much better than anybody thought it was going to be. It's fun to watch him actually compete at the top for podiums. I think currently, though, Albon maybe deserves a better car more. I think he's more consistently driving well. He's the only one of those 3 that you mentioned that does not have a race win, which mostly is Lewis's fault. But
one time.
Yeah.
Wait, was it twice, maybe? Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think all of them are good drivers, quality drivers, and deserve to be on better teams or with better cars than they have. Obviously, in particular, Gasly is on that just horrific Alpine team. And, he's good enough. He's got enough quality to get on the podium, to get race wins if he's on a good team,
Gasly, Gasly gets that awful Alpine car, that awful Alpine team that can't shoot straight. He's signed with them through 2028 now. And so I love the fact that in addition to all that shit, because he's French, all the drivers, they live in Monaco because they like to hang out, beautiful weather, beautiful people, no taxes. But the French have a deal with Monaco, so Gasly, he's the one dude that has to pay taxes. So, it's like, damn, it's just compounding. It's just compounding the pain. Speaking of pain, I saw that Ollie Behrman, the rookie, he now has 10 penalty points. 2 more, and it's a race ban. I was like, you know what? I hope he gets a race ban because I love that this young kid walked into the Haas paddock in the spirit of Kevin Magnussen. The crazy Viking.
Yeah.
Just went right into him. He's like, I don't give a shit. Him and Lawson, they don't give a shit. I like that. It's like, no, you absolutely have to believe you belong, and you got to believe it and act on it until you do.
Yeah, I mean, I like their style. And quite frankly, I think just because Carlos Sainz fucking complained enough and used to race for Ferrari, that they gave Ollie a penalty and some points. Because I kind of think that was bullshit. But, I'm not a steward, so I can't. Yeah.
Yeah, but I like their attitude. Alonso's attitude is fuck them kids, but their attitude is fuck everybody. So I like it. All right, team standings. This is where it gets ridiculous. McLaren, 617, edging out Ferrari in second place, 280. Oof, more than double. What the hell? Ferrari was in the running up until the end last year to win the constructors, right?
Yeah, it was close.
They could have this year. They're not, 16 races in, and they are less than half. Mercedes, third, 260. Red Bull, 239, which is basically max. Then Williams. So, I don't know. McLaren, they've got a Mercedes power unit. Ferrari was challenging them up until the end last year. I don't know.
Yeah, boy, that is tough for Ferrari in particular. Really for all of them. It sucks for Ferrari because they were second last year and came so close and then had really high hopes and all of that disappeared on weekend number 1. But really, you look at it and Mercedes in third, I guess, if Antonelli is doing half as well as he was sort of expected to do, maybe they're in second by a little bit, but that's still half of what McLaren has. That's not good enough from these other teams.
With their power unit, yeah.
Look, commit fucking corporate espionage. Jesus, why are you so much worse? What is this? So, yeah, I don't know.
All right, switching to the salt compound. Let's talk about the movies. Let's all go to the movies. So we talked about maybe Cadillac should become our favorite team. We're Americans. They're an American team. They're going to have facilities in America. They're promoting the sport in America. Love it. They've even hired Colton Herta, multi-Indy race winner, as their test driver. Now, because of this damn European bias, he can't drive in F1. He's got to go back to school, take some F2 classes, and get his super license points. Wouldn't that make a good-ass movie? Like The Old Man. This is better than F1 the movie. He's got to go back to F2. But let's make it a comedy, like the old Rodney Dangerfield movie. Okay? What the hell is going on here? All the young kids, they don't know how to behave around him. They don't know what's going on. And I think we got a script here, Patrick. We got the germ of an idea here.
I think that is a good idea. I think Colton Herta is not old enough to be an old man coming back to learn what's new. But I think, was Scott Dixon Australian?
I think so.
Angry old Australian.
right. He's from New Zealand.
Yeah, right. That would be quite funny, I think.
Yeah, what's that? You won 10 races in Indy? Yeah, you got to go back to school. This is Europe, pal. You're going back to F2 to get those super license points. I know we got these 16-year-old fucking kid from the south of fucking England somewhere. You know, he can't shave yet, but he's got his super license points because he's European. All you've done is just won lots of races in Indy. But we can make this a comedy. I don't know. I think this is a good idea here. Back to School, F1 Back to School, the movie. F1 Back to School. Speaking of F1 the movie, let's continue the theme. They've now crossed 600 million in revenues, which means it's going to make money, big money. They're probably going to get 50 million, who knows what. So good for them. However, we've reviewed this movie in the past. It's been bugging me because, not the movie. Well, yes, certain things have been bugging me. It's been gnawing at me. Again, you spend 200, 300 million to make a movie about F1. What happens? Oh, well, someone dies. No. I don't know. Someone's life's on the line. No. A dream is dead. No. Basically, a guy we don't know, don't care about, may not be the owner of the team. If this other guy who we don't know about, but he's Brad Pitt, so we like him, if he doesn't win a race, it bothers me that they had all this time and money. I'm not even talking character development. I'm not talking dialogue. Like, what was the point? What was the point? Right?
See, I think they wanted to do your movie idea, F1 Back to School, the movie, but then realized that didn't make any sense. Who would ever do that? That's stupid. Right. So they just said, oh, yeah, you're going to drive in F1 again because you used to, but then you stopped, but now you're going to do it again. And all you have to do is maybe win a race, and that will, I guess, solve everybody's problems in the whole world.
Right. And it doesn't even solve his. He doesn't even stay. I mean, look, we can make spoilers now because it's been out for a few months, but it bothers me that they spend hundreds of millions. They could have had a badass actual F1 team. They spend hundreds of millions, and you're like, well, who are the bad guys? Well, they're really bad guys. There's one guy who might be part owner. He's a little bit of a dick. That's it. But who are the good guys? Well, kind of the team that Brad Pitt's on. I mean, his teammate's a dick, but like, oh, he's young. He's learning. He'll figure it out. All right. Well, what are the stakes? There are none. There are no stakes. Okay. Just, it really bothers me. And then, because I only basically ever go to see silent movies. But I finally broke with that and went and saw this F1 movie in an actual theater. And I'm like, why do people even go to theaters? It's like, oh, you want to go see F1 the movie? Okay, that'll be $20 for a ticket. Okay. You spend a lot of money on this. You're promising me a big screen, good sound effects. Nobody bugging me. Kinda. All right, here's my $20. Oh, I'd like some popcorn. Oh, that'll be another 20. Like, really? You've air popcorn. $20. Where do I get my popcorn? You wait in line. Really? There's a long line of loud, angry people and dumb kids running around being waited on by teenagers who don't want to be there. Like they figured out how to make the experience as awful as possible, I think. And I'm like, really? We're getting back here now to the theme of the humiliation ritual. Apparently going to a movie is a humiliation ritual. What is this?
That's why they made F1 the movie. It's just to shame F1 fans.
Right.
You have to go to see this shameful movie now. There you go.
Your brother has this theory that we need to bring back drive-ins because drive-ins in America died. I
like drive-in movie theaters.
Europeans have drive-ins. Do they know what drive-ins are? I don't know. Here's what you can show up in your tiny little Fiat car. Yeah, right. There's a big screen. You don't have to get out of your car. And I mean, we're Americans, so we can spend our life in our car. But it's like, okay, look, we're going to put our phones down. We're going to all go out together, hang out with some friends. We're going to see a big movie that we like, big screen. Maybe that's how we get back to movies that matter. Because I don't know. The stakes for F1 the movie were just so damn low. And the movie going experience left much to be desired.
Yeah, I mean, I think a nice drive-in would be pretty cool. And I'm sure that they could fit one somewhere in Monaco, right? So maybe those guys would like it too. You got to figure out how to use a radio though, because you got to tune to the right station. So
Exactly. Now, different topic. F1 president Stefano Domenicali, he just threw up a trial balloon saying, kids these days are stupid. They're stupid. They can't hold the thought. They can't focus. So how are they going to enjoy F1, the race? What if we made it shorter? Now, this raised a lot of furor. There was much gnashing of teeth when he said this. What do you think of this, Patrick?
I can't pay attention to most things. I can sit and watch a race, though. I mean, as long as it's entertaining. You know, I got up once or twice when I was watching Zandvoort because I was a little bit boring. But, you know, most races, I hold my attention because I like the racing and I think it's cool and interesting and a lot of stuff happens. I don't think 2 hours is that much to ask on a Sunday. That's it. It's 2 hours. You know what? It's fun.
If you have F1 TV, you can switch. You can see from the driver's angles. You can see the data. I mean, I don't want to pile on because I like the fact that he's trying to look at things. Like, how do we hold on to some traditions? Like they signed long-term extension with Monaco, I think to 2035. But how do we, maybe add sprints? What do we change up here? I like that idea. I mean, to me, baseball, the greatest game ever invented. Look what they did in the last few years. We're going to slightly increase the size of the bags. We're going to get rid of that rule where it's like all the players on the infield on one side. I mean, they put in a pitch clock. It sped things up. I think they actually improved the game. So I don't like this idea of making things artificially shorter. I appreciate them trying to figure out how do we keep this sport as popular? How do we keep it growing?
Yeah, I mean, it's reasonable to spitball ideas. I think just making the length of races shorter is not going to improve anything, right? I mean, there's not a whole lot that changes except for races like Monaco or some of those where really you're not wearing through your tires. And so you just kind of sit on them and go slowly for the whole race and nothing really happens. So, I mean, if you speed those up, make them shorter races, you can kind of get everyone to go as fast as they can. And then maybe chaos ensues. I don't know. But
right.
A lot of that already happens. So, yeah.
Make them refuel again like the old days. You never know. Okay. New segment. First time. I don't know if we'll keep it. We'll call it Imagine Being That Stupid. Johnny Herbert is a former F1 driver. He's a commentator now, or at least had been with Sky. And he sometimes steward F1 races. And I have to preface this. What I know of Johnny Herbert, I actually like him. He seems like a pretty good guy. And so I only saw the quote. I did not see the context. So maybe he was just joking. But he said, he was talking about Alonso, my boy. And he's like, Stroll has shown he's just as good as Fernando. And he could even improve a bit. I would show that Methuselah, Alonso of drivers, the exit door. That strikes me as quite stupid, choosing Stroll over Alonso.
That sounds like Lawrence Stroll gave him a wad of cash and sent him out in front of a microphone. Yeah, I mean, that's not true at all and never has been true. I think technically Stroll and Alonso are on like the same number of points currently, but Alonso seems like he's had to deal with a lot more retirements that were no fault of his own this season. And last season, he scored almost 3 times as many points as Lance Stroll.
Right.
70 to Stroll's 24.
Yeah, and this season, the qualifying is just shameful.
Right.
We're going to continue that theme. I mean, Alonso just really wiping the floor with Stroll.
Yeah. And then 2 years ago, when that Aston was quite impressive, you had Alonso P4, 206 points, Lance Stroll P10, 74 points. So less than half. So, I mean, maybe Alonso is declining a little bit faster than he had been previously because he's like 42 or 3 or whatever now. So, maybe he's not as good as he used to be. I think he's still far superior to Lance Stroll. If you put them side by side on track, Alonso probably goes faster than him in just a pole lap. And I think he has more guile. I think he has more experience and has better racecraft overall. I don't understand why anyone would suggest that Lance Stroll is currently a better driver than Fernando Alonso.
Across the line. That's our segment where we predict the top 5 for the next race. The next race is in 2 weeks in Baku, Azerbaijan. Last year, that was the Checo Carlos crash right near the end. I don't know, it's racing. Carlos has been a bad boy lately, but so that one was a bit iffy though. But last year, that Sainz Checo crash notwithstanding, Oscar edged out Charles for the win. Speaking of Alonso, he looked pretty good. Maybe he's had all this bad luck recently. Maybe it will end in Baku this year. We'll see. Anyway, so in across the line, we predict the top 5 for the next race. If we get the driver correct in the top 5, we get a point. If he finishes in the exact spot we predict, we get 3 points. We've been doing this all season. Patrick, what are the current standings of across the line?
Yeah, so coming into this weekend, Monza, you were leading 51 points to my 48. Top 5 of this race was Verstappen, Norris, Piastri, Leclerc, Russell. So your picks from last week were Leclerc, Verstappen, Russell, Alonso, Hadjar. So you got a point each for Leclerc, Verstappen, and Russell, not in the correct finishing position, but all in the top 5 there. I picked Piastri, Norris, Hamilton, Sainz, Behrman. So I got a point for Piastri and 3 for Norris in P2. So that brings you to 54 points to my 52. So still neck and neck.
Ooh, it's getting closer even. Okay. All right. So who goes first for Baku?
Actually, I have first pick. So I think I will take a McLaren because, well, why wouldn't I take a McLaren? And I'm going to go with Piastri because I just think he's better.
All right. I can't disagree. I am going to then choose the same as the Italian Grand Prix. Max 1, Lando 2.
Very interesting. Then, let's see, who do we got? I'm going to go with George, P2. And maybe we'll stick with Ferrari here and go with Leclerc.
Darn. Yeah, and I forgot to mention that once one of us chooses a driver, he's off the board. All right, so if you have Leclerc, I'm going to go with Antonelli, Lewis's replacement, and then 4th, Lewis.
Well, that would be something if Antonelli could get himself onto a podium.
I think after Toto's shaming of him, and he did okay. I mean, his practice runs weren't the best, but I thought he,
Yeah.
I think he sort of leveled off this week.
Let's see. I think that I will go with Albon and then Alonso.
Ooh, I wanted both. So you have Oscar, George, Charles, Albon, and Alonso. I have Max, Lando, Kimi Antonelli, Lewis Hamilton, and I'm going to go with Bortoletto. Any crazy predictions, Patrick?
I didn't come up with any crazy predictions for this weekend. I don't know. I think I've been spouting too many crazy things. So we'll give it a rest for a week.
Last week, I'm like, look at this. Red Bull needs somebody. Yuki can't handle this car. You got to get rid of him. Daniel's sitting there. Oh, look, Ford's going to be the power unit. You're going to work with Red Bull next year, and Daniel's got a relationship budding with Ford. Oh, this is all working out. This is all going to work out. And you don't want to sacrifice Hadjar in that second Red Bull right now. It's too early in his career. Here I go and predict Daniel Ricciardo's going to get that second Red Bull seat. Boom, we hear Daniel's got a big announcement to make. I'm like, this is it. I'm retiring. I was like, son of a bitch. He's retiring. So my crazy prediction was wildly inaccurate.
Yeah.
So
the opposite. It was the opposite. Wow.
But all right, so here's mine then. This one for sure. Christian Horner and Flavio are going to buy up. They're going to lead the investor group to buy up Alpine and save it.
That would be like the F1 of old, where you just
That's
got
what we need.
two.
We need that.
I don't
The
know.
big, the swinging dick, the hustlers, the fast talkers.
We got big
the
gold chains and chest hair flowing for no reason at all.
We need that. We wear tight little polyester shirt. They got a pack of cigarettes snug in that shirt pocket. Come on.
Yeah.
Red girls again. I mean, come on. That's the movie we need. And that's another movie. F1, the movie 1970s edition.
Yeah.
I want to thank you all for listening to everybody's most beloved father and son F1 podcast. It is much appreciated. Thank you. We are Lights Out.
See ya. Thanks for listening.
You just finished listening to Hard Compound, recorded in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and around the world.